Yes. Welcome back to class, my beautiful Greek students. We are on topic 1, basic terms used in animal health and diseases. I remain Dr. Abayomi Samuel Bankole. Today is September 22nd, 2020. Let's go. Now, by way of introduction, to understand any topic of interest, it is important for you to get familiar with the basic terms and concepts of that topic. This is basically what we will be considering today. Now, we have some objectives. We want to achieve at the end of today's class, of today's lesson. Number 1, at the end of today's lesson, you are expected to define or explain some common terms used in relation to animal health. Also, you have to know what to look out for when an animal is sick. And thirdly, you are supposed to know how diagnoses are arrived at. Now, what are the basic terms you need to know in animal health and diseases? I have listed 5 here. There are more than 5, but for the purpose of this short class, I've listed 5 for us to deliberate on. Number 1, health. Health is wealth, they say. Yes, health is wealth. Health. Number 2, disease. Number 3, pathogen or infectious agent. Number 4, symptoms or clinical sign or signs. And lastly, diagnosis. Now, I have decided to arrange them this way for easy understanding and recall. Let me give you an illustration here. You know, as you are looking at me right now, you are apparently healthy. That is why you can come to class today. That is why you can listen to this video. That's why you want to know what is going on. Then we can say you are in health. That's number 1. You are in health. You are in health. You have good health. That's why you are here. Now, if there is a problem with your health, then we say there is a disease. Now, but there is something that must have caused that disease, and that's what we refer to as pathogen or infectious agent. Now, when there is a disease and something called pathogen has caused that disease, you will begin to see some observable changes or abnormalities. And that is what we refer to as symptoms or clinical signs. Now, to solve this problem, to solve all of these problems caused by disease and pathogen with the clinical sign manifestation, there is a process to go through, and that is diagnosis. Now, you can get it. Let us take these terms one after the other. Let's go to health. What is health? Health is wealth. Yes, what is health? Now, generally speaking, health is defined as a complete state of physical, social, and mental well-being, and not just the absence of disease or diseases. Now, in other words, an animal is said to be in good health when that animal is in a complete state of physical, social, and mental well-being, and not just that the animal is free from disease or diseases. Now, this means that the animal in question must be adequately cared for with respect to providing feed, water, space, and clean environment, etc. Now, you need to understand that an animal that lacks these basic provisions of feed, water, space, clean environment can easily come down with a disease. And in essence, adequate management plays a critical role in maintaining animals in good health. Now, what is disease? What is disease? Now, disease, simply put, is a deviation from the normal state of health. It is a deviation from the normal state of health. Now, and this is usually reviewed by certain changes. We said this earlier on, changes, observable changes or abnormality in that animal, especially in terms of the appearance of the animal and the behavior of the animal. Now, it also can affect the structure or function of the animal in question. I mean, the observable changes can affect the behavior, the structure, or the function of that animal. Now, what is a pathogen? Now, a pathogen or infectious agent is a biological or microbial agent that causes disease or illness to the host. Of course, in this case, it's our animal. Now, this term is most often used for agents that disrupt the normal physiology of a multicellular animal. However, pathogens can infect unicellular animals or organisms. Now, what are symptoms or clinical signs? Symptoms or clinical signs. Now, they are observable changes seen or noticed when an animal is sick. Now, some symptoms are common to all diseases, to most diseases, while some are quite specific to particular diseases. Now, let us look at the common symptoms seen in most diseases. Here, I've listed a few. Number one, refusal to eat. Of course, when an animal is sick, it refuses most of the time to eat. It will not want to eat. I will term that anorexia, called anorexia. You can also notice increase in body temperature. We call that pyrexia. That is what is most commonly seen by others as fever. You see the person shivering and all of that. Also, you can see jaundice. Yes, most commonly you see jaundice in sick animals. You also can notice weakness, and the animal most often will withdraw from other animals. Now, these are things that also happen in human beings. You know, when you are sick, you don't want to eat. That's anorexia. You know, you will be running temperature, that's fever. You'll be dull, you'll be withdrawn. You just want to stay in your corner. You don't want any association, as it were. So the same thing happens in our animals. Now, these observable changes or abnormalities seen in sick animals, they all serve as a basis for diagnosis or determining what is causing sickness in our animal. Now, there's something to note and very critical about symptoms. Now, not all symptoms or clinical signs are observable in all diseases all the time. We have said that earlier, that some diseases, some symptoms are specific to some diseases. Let me give you an instance here. Helminthosis is a worm infestation in animal that normally doesn't come with fever. So, if it ever comes with fever, then there must be a concurrent infection that is in the animal at the same time. So, let us go to diagnosis. What is diagnosis? What is diagnosis? Now, this is the art and science of determining the nature and causes of diseases. It also differentiates between diseases. So when you are talking about diagnosis, you are talking about the nature and the causes of diseases and how you can differentiate between diseases. Now, to arrive at a diagnosis, you have to get some facts or some information ready about the animal. Now, this information you gather or collect should be as comprehensive as possible, and these are regarded as components of diagnosis. Now, let us look at components of diagnosis briefly. What are these components of diagnosis? Number one I have here is history taking. History taking is gathering vital information about our sick animal, such as one, identity of the animal. You want to know the identity of the animal in question, the species, the name or tag number, the age, the sex, the breed, the color of the animal. Then you also want to know when the animal was first noticed to have changed in behavior or symptoms. That is, when the animal began to show symptoms of diseases. You also want to know how long this condition has been on in this animal. The second component of diagnosis here is physical examination. And this is done by observing the animal itself for any sign of abnormality. Now, you can take the temperature, the pulse rate, the respiratory rate. This is in an attempt to know the physical state of the animal in question. Now, if this physical examination is done on the farm, you need to look at certain things. Number one, you need to look at the housing or the environment where the animal is kept, or where the animals are kept, because animals mostly are kept in herd or in a pen, or in a general confinement where other animals are. So you want to look at that housing, that environment. And secondly, you want to look at the type of feed given to the animal or animals. Also, you want to look at the third component of diagnosis, which is laboratory examination. Now, laboratory examination or analysis is often carried out on samples or material collected from the animal or the environment where the animal is kept. Now, the sample collected is subjected to several laboratory procedures to detect the presence or absence of disease-causing agents or substances. Now, there are examples of samples you can collect. Let us look at a few of them. One, you can collect blood sample. You can collect fecal sample. That's from the feces. You can collect skin scrapings. And even the urine, you can collect the urine of the animal. You can also collect some organs of a dead animal. This is particularly when you want to perform what we call postmortem. And this is very important where there are many animals on a farm, so that you can be able to save the remaining ones after observing the dead organs of the dead animal. Now, you can also collect some parts of the animal feed for laboratory analysis. Yes, very important. And lastly, on laboratory examination, you want to note that lab analysis of samples collected from sick animals is extremely important in arriving at what we call a definitive diagnosis. This is a diagnosis that is really very authentic, not just some kind of, it is very authentic. Now, we are done for today. Let's look at, let's just do a recap. Number one, we have been able to look at the importance of keeping animals healthy, and I'm sure you will be able to explain or define some common terms used in animal health and diseases. In addition, you have learned some general observable signs of a sick animal and the kind of samples that can be collected from a sick animal for further laboratory examination. That is to support a correct definitive diagnosis. Now, next topic that will be taken in the next class is factors affecting the health status of animals. I will see you then. Bye for now. I remain Dr. Abayomi Samuel Bankole. This is my email address. You can always email me for questions, for observation, and all that. Okay, bye for now. Bye for now. Bye for now.